What's up, YouTube and Lowrider homies? Today I'm going to be talking about a piston pump. No, not a penis pump, so stop getting excited. A piston pump. Today I'm going to be replacing my 9 gear with an 11 gear, and if you've never seen the internals of a piston pump, it's pretty exciting and it's completely different, and you know, it's all set up different, so it's kind of interesting to see. Before removing the piston pump from your current setup, you want to make sure that you let all the air out. If you don't, as soon as you start detaching stuff, it is going to spray fluid everywhere, so make sure that you let all that air out first. Alright, so now I got the pump out. We're going to remove the fill plug and drain all the hydraulic fluid that's in it. If you've never done this before, it's a good maintenance tip. Drain all the fluid. Once you remove the tank, wipe out the inside of the tank. Wipe off any sediment that you can find, any metal shavings, anything inside. Just wipe it out like it's a brand new pump, and then put it all back together and refill your tank. So, but what I'm going to do first is I'm going to remove the fill plug, drain all the hydraulic fluid, and then start disassembling this thing. Alright, so hopefully you guys are using one of these pumps type situations to suck out all the fluid, not just turning it upside down and then hoping for the best. Pumping all the way out, and then once you've got it all the way out, which I've already suctioned this all the way out, at least as much as my thing can do here, I tipped it up, sucked the fluid from the bottom right here, and then now I'm tipping it back, and which is basically going to let any other fluid run to the back, so that when I remove the rods here and pull them back, the fluid that is left will still stay in the tank, so it doesn't make a big mess everywhere. Okay, so I've removed the rods, and now it's time to disassemble the tank from the block and the backing plate. So you only get really one shot at this. So you want to try and evenly, not pry it or anything like that, but carefully you'll want to separate the two. There's an O-ring in the back also. And there we go. So here, hey, can you see? Here is the inside of the piston back tank or back block. Kind of cool, right? The air goes in here, and you obviously right here is where the air comes out, which pushes against the piston, which I will show you that also. Hopefully you can see that. Alright, so there's the piston inside of the tank there. Alright, so now I got the backing plate off, and I'm going to remove the tank from the block. And you just want to give it a light push and pull to kind of separate it. Nothing too hard. Just enough to get it to move. Alright, so now it's about to come off.
Just show a little screwdriver in the back.
There it is. Alright, so here's the inside of the tank. You can see the piston all the way in the back. And shit, there is the inside with the piston. So the piston moves forward and backward. So, and as you can see, it did an amazing job not spilling anything, pretty much. There's a few drops on my vise, but we're all good. Alright, so now I'm going to be focusing on removing the number 9 and installing the number 11. And you've got 4 bolts that are holding it in. You got, if this is your one that you're replacing, you've got your intake, which is down here. If your intake is on the bottom, it's these two and these top two. So if you look at the pump, you get your pump right here. Your intake is right here. Okay, so it's these two and these two. Okay, now when you get a new pump head, you've got bolts in it, but the two closest to the intake, those are there just to hold it together. Or excuse me, those are there to hold it together and install on it. But the ones on the top or just to hold it together while it's being shipped pretty much, or while it's not in use. So as soon as you go to install it, you'll want to remove these two and install the rods that you've already got. So once you have removed all four of these, you'll want to take a old shirt or something like that, unless you don't care about this pump head, which I do because this is a number 9 Marzucci. I'm gonna keep it. It is good. So throw something on it, and you want to gently move a little bit, which my key is still in there with the motor still attached. So I am just going to wiggle it and pull it back just a little bit. Just keep wiggling, and you can feel it separate. Alright, so it has separated, and there it is. Just blowing fluid all over the place. Alright, so now that I've removed the pump head, you'll want to remove the pump head seal, which I just normally grab some pliers, something like this, and you grab it and just kind of twist it around, and it should slide out pretty simple. Unless it's chewed up for some reason. Now there's going to be a little bit of debris on the inside. You'll want to get that off. Make sure you kind of get that excess off, so it's the new seal is nice and clean. Alright, I got the old one out, and I have removed all the old seal and made sure that there's nothing in its way. Grab a little fluid and rub it on the new seal so it will slide in. And
make sure that O-ring is in there.
Yeah, obviously make sure the O-ring's on there. And my key is still in, so that is why I'm being extra careful. And you just kind of wiggle it back and forth to get it in the right spot. Alright, so I feel like it is in the right spot right now. So I'm going to start adding the bolts back, and when you do this, when you go to put it in, you want to tighten it down in the star formation. So basically, you know, a cross. Anyway, and 27 foot-pounds of torque. And to put all this back together, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to line up your tank and kind of slide it onto there. Now when you go to put the backing plate on, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to get on. So the best thing to do is to go ahead and send a rod through and let it catch before you're pushing it all together. Go ahead and let it catch on diagonal, and basically get them just tight enough to where it'll hold it from falling, and then go ahead and put 2 more. And then what you're going to want to do is tighten down diagonal each time, and just kind of draw it evenly together to draw it together. With the piston being in there, it's going to create a little bit of pressure right here. So anyway, alright, so now that I've got it back together, I've already filled the tank with fluid, and it is literally to the rim. And what you're going to want to do to reset your piston, no matter where it's at in the tank, is to make sure that this is full, 100% full. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to, in your block side, you're going to want to put about 10 to 15 pounds of pressure in there. So what that's going to do is it's going to put pressure on the tank and in the fluid right here, which is going to cause the piston, which mine I think is right next to the end, so it's right about here. What it's going to do is it's going to create some pressure to push it all the way back. Okay, so I've already tightened this down. Now, one thing to note, this is out of the car right now, or out of my truck right now. When mine is in the truck, mine is at a angle, like basically it sits like this. So my point to that is that because this is flat, that's why I'm resetting it now. Doing it when it's at an angle, it doesn't reset so easy. Doing it this way, it makes it to where I can actually do it the way that I'm talking about. As soon as it is like this, as soon as I go to let any air out of right here, it's going to just shoot out. It's going to pour out. So basically, to reset it, you're going to want to make sure that this is full, this is tight, everything is ready to go, and put about 10 to 15 pounds of pressure right in here. Now be ready, because it's going to do some stuff. Alright, so I put a little bit of pressure in there, and what I want to do now is push down the air nozzle in the back. So as you could hear, it's letting the piston go back that much further. Now because I want to make sure that it's all the way at the end, I'm going to put just a little bit more. And I believe it is all the way back now. But just for shits and giggles. Alright, it should be done now. Yeah. Now that I've pushed on and now that I've put pressure and no more air is coming out, you're ready to let the air back out of here. But what you want to do is very carefully let the air out of the fill plug. Now it is probably going to shoot a little bit, but hopefully not too bad. That's why I say only 10 to 15 pounds. So you want just to crack it just enough to where you'll hear that air come out. Nice and slow. There it is. Alright, so what I'm doing right now is I'm just allowing all the air, the pressure that I put in the block to release itself right here. And now I could have let it out right there if you wanted to, but this is the way to make sure that there's no voids anywhere, there's fluid everywhere. Now with the pump out of the car, I've got a dump hose pretty much connected up top to make sure that the fluid don't go flying out that way. Okay, so they're tight. If you didn't have something up here, they'd shoot at the wall. Alright, so now this should be good. It should be, it's let enough air out. Oh no, it's still going. Alright. Alright, so now since the piston has moved back, you've got more room in your tank for more fluid. So you want to go ahead and top that thing off. Alright, so now once you have topped it off, you'll want to put your fill plug back on, tighten it down, and then you are ready to charge your piston as much as you desire. I hear most guys run anywhere from 90 to 110 for a street car. I've heard all the way up to 240, 250 for a hopper. So you know, tread lightly on what exactly you put in there and what you're planning to risk. And as always, like, share, and comment if you like the video. If you don't, move the fuck on.